In this video, we're going to be learning about WordPress widgets, and specifically, we're going to be learning about what they are and how we can use them, and then I'll actually show you an example of how the widgets can be used. So what exactly are widgets? Generally, they're tools that we utilize to customize our website, specifically in the design. And most often, we think of widgets as being used in the sidebars, although there are many other ways that we can utilize them, generally in the sidebars or in certain locations on our website specific to our theme. That's when we're going to be using widgets. So in order to actually see what widgets are or how they can be utilized, what we're going to do is head on over to the wordpress.org website and we'll see the different widgets that they may use. And so the first one is going to be in their sidebar. And so they have two widgets that we can see. It's going to be the see also, which is going to be a text widget, and I'll show you how to make one of those. And we'll see a categories widget, and this is just dependent on the categories that you use. It'll display all of them. So that way it just gives the user another way to browse your website. So the next widget area that we're going to be looking at is going to be this top right header up here, and this is highly dependent on the actual theme that you use. Not every theme has this widget option, but in this case, if they are using a widget, this would be a search widget, and also this would be a typical text widget where you enter in the HTML code for the button. So the final widget area that the WordPress.org website could potentially be using is going to be in the footer area down here, and these could all just be text widgets where you just enter in the text like the about page, things like that, or they can just be a menu widget where it's displaying an actual customized menu. Likewise, this over here is going to be the social sharing widget, or they could simply be using just a text widget with the actual code for these social sharing buttons. So in our theme, we have three areas. One is going to be on the left sidebar, the right sidebar, and also the footer area. And I'll show you actually how to customize some of these options, and we'll kind of play around with the various widgets that we have currently. But just remember that you also have many other widget options once you start adding plugins, which we'll discuss how to actually get those in the near future. So the first thing that we're going to do is actually add a search menu into our primary sidebar, and it's literally just a drag and drop interface. So all we're going to do is click on it and we're going to drag over the search bar, and the options are fairly self-explanatory. What do you want the title above the search bar to display? You can either put nothing because it's a fairly self-explanatory widget area, or you can just type in anything you want. And always remember, if you change anything, be sure to click save. And when we refresh the website, it's going to be a fairly standard search bar, right? The user is going to enter in some information here, and also the text that we entered above, which was the title, is going to show up right there in search. And the design of this actual widget is going to be highly dependent on the actual theme. So your search bar may look much different from the search bar that you're seeing right here, as well as the other widgets that we're going to show you. The next thing I want to show you is actually if you want to delete the widget, how do you go about doing that? And so it's also very self-explanatory. All you're going to do is click the delete button, and that's it. So when you go over to your website and you refresh it, it's going to disappear. And the only ones that are going to be a little bit tricky to use are going to be the custom menu and the text widgets. And the only reason why the custom menu widget is going to be a little bit tricky is because we actually have to know how to create custom menus in order to utilize this widget. And that's really something we're going to be showing you in a couple of videos later. And the reason why I want to explain the text widget is because it's actually very flexible. And as you can see, it looks fairly similar to a post. When we want to create a new post, we have a title and a content area, and the text widget is going to be very similar to that. So for example, what if we wanted to create an about me section? So I went ahead and pasted just some random text in here, but what I did want to show is that you can actually add HTML to this text area, just like you could in a post. And so similar to before, we can just save it and we can see how it's going to look. And we'll see that our about me section is just the text that we inputted, as well as the HTML code with the link linking to another read more about me page. So the text widget doesn't actually have to be simple HTML code like links or buttons. It can actually be much more than that. For example, what if you wanted to put a follow button to your Twitter in your sidebar? So all we're going to do is go into the resource section of Twitter, and we're going to find this button option. So there's many different options that we can have. We can either follow, tweet, or mention, and all we're going to do is find the Twitter code, and we would enter in our user, and we could select a bunch of different options for how we want this to actually display. So say we have the options that we want, all we're going to do is copy that over, and we're going to go into our text widget and we're going to paste it in, and we'll just say whatever title we want. And remember, we can always remove the title. We can always have it completely blank and just save it. We'll see that we have our nice follow button right here, and we just have it for Twitter right now, but you can easily customize it to follow whatever account that you own. So the other two areas are going to be exactly the same as our primary sidebar, but it's just going to be showing up at a different location. So I'm not going to explain it too much. I just want to show you kind of how it looks. So what I did is put a recent post widget into the content sidebar and a meta widget into the footer. And the meta is going to be things like your login, your RSS URL, WordPress.org links, things like that. And we'll see that now we have a left sidebar as well as a right sidebar. And we also have a footer area down below. So what you can see is actually divided into columns. You can imagine if we added multiple widgets, it would all fill up all these spaces. So let's see what that looks like. So what I went ahead and did is just add a couple more widgets into our footer area, and we'll see how that looks. So what's nice about this is it's already pre-divided. So it's divided into 4 columns already for us because we added 4 widgets to our footer. So this theme only has the core 13 widgets that we can utilize, but we can always add more with added plugins.